2024 has generally been good to us action anime fans. We're still halfway through, and for those of you who've been keeping track, we already had a plethora of exciting shows to enjoy. That's even if we discount sequels of popular franchises that have carried the torch from the previous decade's hard hitters. I know it may be hard to know where to start, so that's what today's list looks to do. I'll be sharing what I think are the 10 best action anime for you to watch. Let's begin the list. Mission Yozakura Family is what I'll be starting this list with. さあ、兄弟喧嘩の時間だ。ごめんね、兄ちゃん。Given the whole setup of a family of secret agents living double lives in school, it's very easy to fall into the trap of comparing this anime to the ever-popular Spy Family. On the other hand, Mission Yozakura Family takes that marginally similar setup in a different direction, opting to go for more chaos and action as opposed to the more heartfelt slice-of-life-ish moment. I mean, that's not a bad thing either, and it sets up a nice, nifty identity for the Yozakura family, with it being done in the vein of a more typical shonen action series. It's an action comedy that I feel like has gone under the radar a bit for how entertaining it can become at times. Unhinged, chaotic, and such are apt descriptions of what it looks to do, but underneath the funny and hype moments are still some dramatic segments to help the audience settle in and relate with the characters. If you're a 20-something-year-old and remember Hitman Reborn, that's more of what you're gonna have to expect with this anime. Witch and the Beast is up next at number 9. If you prefer something that has more of an edge, however, Witch and the Beast may be to your liking. A mystery action series aimed at a slightly older demographic, complete with a darker atmosphere and a good amount of magical fighting. The Witch and the Beast is an anime that thrives on its character dynamics, starting with our main duo and soon extending to the other characters who turn out to be more complex than what you'd expect from an action-heavy series. All of that serves to complement the genuinely gripping story with arcs that don't overstay their welcome. The Witch and the Beast isn't something meant for mainstream attention. It's eerie, full of intrigue, and didn't have any of the hype moments that would push a lot of shows into becoming overnight blockbusters. But if you're up for a more mature approach in a compelling world, it's definitely worth a shot. At 8, here's Unwanted Undead Adventurer. After giving the key visual and the premise a glance, one might immediately peg Unwanted Undead Adventurer as another one of those prove them wrong anime. You know, the power fantasy that starts off with the protagonist falling and coming back as something beyond broken, set to go on an adventure to bring the world to its knees. Unwanted Undead Adventurer flips things around, however, by deciding to go on a more, reflective approach. Yes, there's still the edgy-looking protagonist looking to become strong as a plot point, but the anime is a tad slower and more monologue-heavy. It seeks to build the world at what people have called a deliberate pace, and it dwells more on the implications of becoming a skeleton, giving the audience chances to digest how it really feels. It's definitely something more akin to a slice of life, and the more chill approach to doing things might throw people off a little bit. When the action parts come up, though, they're still good, however, so this could be a good change of pace for people very into fantasy action anime. At number 7, it's The Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic. It's the beginning of 2024. Things are looking up with some big hitters coming our way. A lot of shows have hype either by being sequels or getting carried by word of mouth, with some shows seemingly coming out of nowhere by embracing their key points, like the degeneracy for gushing over magical girls. Then there's this. Not gonna lie, I don't blame you for overlooking The Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic by brushing it off as yet another isekai when the season rolled around. But when the dust has settled, I'd say that this anime has been a worthwhile watch, showing that there are strengths in a premise that's generic. For one, I've gotta give some props to how the show doesn't aim to hook you in with a shock factor or anything like that. It's also not a parody and plays the isekai part straight. Instead, it does draw you in with a more deliberate pacing, getting you acquainted with the world and the characters, and making you think of the possible ways things can go. The slow pace pacing ended up being a detriment at times, especially on the character development side, but I can see the point the anime team's trying to get at here. It's a good alternate approach to the isekai wave we've come to see recently that either leans heavily into parodic elements or goes really deep with the action, shock factor, and power fantasy. It's comfortably somewhere in between, and is for fans of people who prefer a slower paced isekai. An Archdemon's dilemma finds itself right before the halfway mark. And we're back to the bait and switch anime. Right off the bat, an Archdemon's dilemma injects an idea into the viewer, an assumption of what it could be like. Demon Lord, with a bid to be the strongest, taking on a slave girl as his most trusted partner in this us against the world story. And true, there are elements of that at play, but while Undead Adventurer gave us a detour by instead becoming a more reflective take on the whole transformed into a skeleton subgenre, Archdemon's dilemma does that by making unaware audiences watch possibly one of the sweetest romances you can get out of the shows with this kind of backdrop. What? Not to say there's no action or flexing or the sort, there is loads of it in fact. What truly sets this series apart from its kin is its surprising focus on a budding relationship between our main duo, both of whom are awkward and charming in their own right. People have compared it to something like Gomi-san, and to have that kind of comparison in an isekai series with magic and slavery is hilarious in its own right, but it kinda makes sense when you think about it. This is one underrated treat for romance lovers out there. Now, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back, but not before asking you for a like if you've enjoyed what you've seen so far. Make sure you've turned on the notification bell to be updated by all my latest videos too. Thank you. Off the break now, we're not letting up with our next entry, Ninja Kamui. Ninja Kamui is a simple story. It knows it's excellent at one thing and one thing only: insane fights, and as such, it leans really deep into it. After all, for some fans, they don't just care about realism, a deep plot, or any of that. They want stimulation, lots of it. And Ninja Kamui is here to give them loads and loads of adrenaline. To say that the fights and action sequences in Ninja Kamui are wild would be an understatement. Thus crossing the halfway mark of 2024, I just don't think that a lot of action anime can match how unhinged and wild Ninja Kamui can get with its action pieces. It starts off really strong, and if you're someone who comes in with the right expectations, it does seem like something tailored to Western audiences with the way it looks and feels, so that might be a boon to you too. If you're someone who craves some frantic, gory action, yes, I am, and wants something that goes so deep into it, Ninja Kamui may be to your liking. Join the action, I'm a power shit, got a fast with this, I'm relaxing that. Here we go, Joe, this! To move on, we have Go Go Loser Ranger. Yeah, did I mean call myself? Loser Ranger's not exactly a serious anime, but considering how grounded it feels compared to Ninja Kamui, it certainly fits the bill. As for Loser Ranger, we have what seemed to be an affectionate Super Sentai parody that turns pretty heavy quickly thanks to how it gives us a different perspective from what we've come to expect from these costume hero shows. Affiliations and supposed hero-villain roles get turned on their head, and it serves as a foundation for a rather gripping tale of rising up against all odds. A tale of adversity, grey morality systems, and before we forget, some pretty nifty fight sequences. Oh, and it's also from the quintessential quintuplets creator. So for those fans of the popular rom-com who are still on the fence, you might be curious to see what Negi can do with a series featuring another ensemble of 5, but in a different genre. Personally, I think he nailed all the important notes, but it's something you've got to see for yourself. This anime deserves more love. We begin the top 3 now with Windbreaker. For a lot of people, Windbreaker came out of nowhere. Sure, there was a bit of hype entering the season, but to a lot of them, it certainly was just another teenage delinquent action anime. However, as we reach the home stretch, it's made a quick turnaround as a lot of people's favorite action anime of spring. It's a straightforward story of delinquents fighting people, protecting their town and all of that sort of stuff, but what really won people's hearts was the execution. It has great hand-to-hand fights, some of the best the year has given us so far, all while maintaining some positive themes with help from its charismatic characters. It's certainly a show show I'm happy to see a lot of love for. And if you're looking for an action anime to watch this 2024 and don't have time to bother with sequels or more fantasy stuff, this is one of the best recommendations you can get. Kaiju number 8 stands proud in second place. The hype was really there for Kaiju number 8. Even before the season, there's been a lot of buzz surrounding this promising new contender in the action anime sphere. It would have been easy to brush off the series as something taking advantage of the groundwork made by Chainsaw Man or even Attack on Titan, given their similar premises in theory. However, Kaiju number 8 does well enough to hold up on its own, becoming one of the hottest and best action titles to watch in 2024. In practice, Kaiju number 8 leans more to the light-hearted vibes despite the bleak picture its world seems to suggest for the first minutes or so. There's quite a mix of comedy and action, and overall, the blending of elements works really well, giving us a show where almost everyone can find at least something to like. While Kaiju number 8 may not particularly excel at something, it's more than decent on a lot of the relevant parts that action anime fans may care for. Entertaining fights? Check. A group of main characters for you to care about? You got it. The story that's not super complex, yet has its fair share of depth and world building put into it, Kaiju number 8's got you covered. It's obviously being pushed hard as a series, and I think those efforts weren't misplaced by any means. Speaking of pushed hard as a series, you have to be living under a rock to at least not hear of Solo Leveling. One of the biggest webtoons ever finally got its much-awaited anime adaptation, and expectedly, as we enter the year 2024, Solo Leveling has garnered so much attention. But did it live up to the hype? I'd say it did, with a caveat. It's an anime that works really well for those who are already fans of the series. The anime creators likely made this adaptation with the existing fans in mind and made a promise to deliver what the fans wanted. A weak to strong power fantasy with some RPG elements and a lot of moments where the main protagonist can show off how cool he is. Sharp, crisp choreography gives the fight some excellent presentation, and the sound direction doesn't let up one bit. With the title being hamstrung by its 12-episode count, there's a lingering feeling of wanting more as I watch the series. There's more potential with the world, and the plot's presentation may not be as strong as some would like it to be. Still, it also knows it's a power fantasy and relishes in that identity. Plus, in the realm of just spectacle, Solo Leveling hits all the important highs, making it a really recommended watch for those in the genre who are existing fans of the source material. Solo Leveling may have the hype, but is it your favorite action anime in 2024 so far? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. That more or less does it for this list. I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the list. If you have some more time, may I suggest you check out this video on the top 10 anticipated new anime of summer 2024. Thank you. I'll see you in the next one very soon.